Hello and welcome to the Hard to Handle Sports Podcast. This is episode number 83. My name's Ismael San Juan. Thank you so much for being here. I'm by myself this week. I don't have a guest. Last 2 weeks, we've had Matt, we've had Arturo on the show. Great guests, good conversations. It was fun to have them on. I'm going to try to have more guests more consistently. I really enjoy just talking to the homies, talking sports, making fun of their teams when they lose. Shooting ideas back and forth. But for this week, it's me by myself again, and man, what a weekend of sports have we had. What a weekend of sports. The greatest divisional round of the NFL playoffs ever. Every game came down to the wire. Every game was exciting, some more than others, but all of them came down to the end. Everything was exciting, especially Sunday. The Rams game really started off the day amazingly, and then the Chiefs and Bills lived up to all the hype and then some. And then the Australian Open was going on. Nick Kyrgios, he's doing his thing. He's entertaining everyone in Australia. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get started. Episode 83. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get started. First and foremost, I want to talk about the Chiefs versus Bills. The Chiefs win 42-36, walk-off touchdown in overtime. Patrick Mahomes brings the Chiefs back from basically done. Everyone thought they were done. If you're looking at the probability of win versus losses, it was shooting up and down for both the Bills and the Chiefs. So credit to Mahomes, credit to Josh Allen. Both of them probably played a perfect game on both sides. You can't really look at Josh Allen and say that he needed to do more. You can't look at Mahomes and say if you would have played better, it would have been easier for a game for the Chiefs. I think both quarterbacks played to their potential, left it all out on the field, and it was just incredible. Those last 2 minutes where the Bills took the lead, and you're like, okay, that's it. There's no way the Chiefs come back. And the Chiefs score a 50-plus yard touchdown to Tyreek Hill. And you're like, okay, they probably left too much time for the Bills, but can the Bills do it? This is going to be the moment for Josh Allen. Stephen A. Smith was tweeting that if Josh Allen does it, he's going to be the new Tom Brady. He's the new Tom Brady if he gets this done. Josh Allen drives him down again, gets another touchdown to Gabriel Davis, shout out to Gabriel Davis. He lost, but he had a performance of the lifetime. 8 receptions, 201 yards, 4 touchdowns, a postseason record. So Gabriel Davis, he finished the year really strong in the regular season, and he came alive in the postseason. Unfortunately, he's out now, but don't forget about Gabriel Davis. If you play fantasy football, he might be a sleeper for next year. Keep an eye on Gabriel Davis. But when Josh Allen drove down for that touchdown to Gabriel Davis with 13 seconds left, it was pandemonium. If you were on Twitter during any of the last 2 minutes of the Buffalo Bills with the Chiefs, that was all that anyone was talking about. This game was ridiculous. I saw a statistic that said that in Kansas City, 90% of TVs were tuning into the game. That's crazy. And if I was to say a rough estimate, I would say maybe around half of the U.S. was watching. The whole world was watching. It was incredible. It was magnificent. It was must-watch TV. It lived up to everything that I ever wanted from this game. When I was talking to Arturo, I made the connection to the Lakers versus Clippers on how the Bills and the Chiefs was a hyped up matchup before the season started. We all wanted to see it. The Bills got embarrassed in the AFC conference game last week. They were talking about the Chiefs. They were talking how they're obsessed with the Chiefs. They want the Chiefs. They're building their team to beat the Chiefs. They beat them in the regular season. And you're like, okay, hopefully they meet up in the playoffs. It's never a guarantee that they're going to play each other. Sometimes the matchups have to fall. And we did get to see it in the divisional round, probably a round too early than we would have expected or wanted. But it lived up to everything that we ever wanted. Unlike the Lakers versus the Clippers, where, same type of thing, preseason hype, promos, everyone's talking, team parties from both sides are talking shit, talking smack. Everyone's hyped up. Everybody wants to see it in the playoffs. And it never happened. So I was just glad that the Bills and Chiefs did happen. And once it happened, I was like, man, I hope they live up. I hope they live up to it. And they did, man. Oh boy, did they do it. But once Josh Allen scored with 13 seconds left to put them up 3 points, you're like, okay, KC still has 3 timeouts. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's Tyreek Hill. It's Travis Kelce. You're like, okay, you kind of know that they're not completely dead, but you're like, okay, it's gonna take a miracle for them to not be done. You know, I know they got 3 timeouts, but 3 timeouts, man, like you're not even gonna be able to use all three because, like there's just not enough time. Each play is gonna take like 5 seconds. Take a timeout, 5 seconds. You run another play. That's it. Your third timeout, you're not gonna take it because the time's gonna run out. So you're like, okay, like the Bills just gotta, tackle someone in bounds and it's over. And, they kick it out of the end zone. They get the ball at the 25. Little quick play to Tyreek Hill. He gets like a quick 18 or a quick 20. And then down the seam, he gets Travis Kelce. He gets another 15. And you're just like, oh my God, they really did this. 49-yard field goal. Goes down the middle. Overtime. Chiefs win the coin toss. And at this point, you're like, okay, yeah, they're going to win this. There's no way they give the ball back to the Bills. And sure enough, they drove down the field methodical on the number one defense and scored the game-winning touchdown to Travis Kelce, and game over. And I know a lot of people are complaining about, like, everyone enjoyed the game. Everybody wanted to see this keep going, especially with the last 2 minutes where it was just a back and forth. It was pandemonium. Like, the stadium went from being super happy, defense, Bills score. All right, Chiefs, come on, let's do it. Mahomes has got this. Tyreek Hill scores. Boom, pandemonium. Arrowhead goes crazy. Josh Allen starts driving the Bills down the field. The stadium gets quiet. You're like, oh my God, they're going to beat us. Boom, they score the touchdown. Stadium goes quiet. Mahomes takes him down the field, gets the game-tying field goal. Again, pandemonium in the stadium. He's just loud. And then it was just ridiculous. So I get how everybody wanted to keep it going. Everybody wanted Josh Allen to get a chance to respond. I get it. I completely get it. I kind of wanted Josh Allen to get a chance to respond too. But then we get to the point where it's like, okay, like these two juggernauts caught fire, right? Both teams caught fire. We might have never gotten an end if you just keep giving the other guy a chance to match it. We could have just kept going and going and going. So I don't know if you guys remember this, but before the overtime rule was whoever scores first wins. It didn't matter if it was a touchdown or if it was a field goal. You just had to score and that was it. Game over. And people thought that wasn't fair, so then they changed it to, okay, you can no longer win with just a field goal. If you score a field goal, the other team gets a chance to respond. And I think that's as good as it gets. Because if you keep changing it, then at some point it's gonna get to like the college football overtime, and that's too gimmicky. That's not really even football. Like you're just playing offense and defense. You completely eliminate special teams. And I think I personally, once they changed the rule, I really like the rule. Once we went from just anything wins it, you could just get a field goal and it's over, to okay, if your defense gets a stop, holds them to a field goal, then you get a chance to respond. If you score a touchdown, it's game over. If you score a field goal, it's, sudden death. Whoever scores next wins. I like that stuff. I like it. I think if you just keep changing it and change it, you're just going to prolong the game. There's going to be more injuries. There's going to be, you're going to lose more star players. And, God forbid something happens to one of your favorite players. Like, who's to say that if you just let the Chiefs and the Bills keep going at it, these guys are just going to keep getting fatigued and God forbid something happens to Josh Allen or Mahomes. And now what? We're just left with, one of these teams losing their star quarterback because they've played, 48 minutes plus another 12 in overtime. Or if you just keep it going, like, it's just, or 60 minutes actually. I was thinking NBA. 60 minutes plus another 15 in overtime, and then you just keep it going 75 minutes. It gets to a point where it's like, all right, these men are trying to kill each other on the field. Like, I think the rule is correct. It's unfortunate that it happened to Josh Allen. It's unfortunate to the Bills though that they let the Chiefs get to field goal range in 13 seconds. And I think it is what it is. The Bills had to stop the Chiefs to a field goal to give Josh Allen a chance. They couldn't do it. They pay the consequences. The Chiefs had to execute, and they did at home. It happened to the Chiefs versus the Patriots. And I know people are just like, oh, but we were complaining back then too. We want the rule changed back then. I get it. If anything, maybe just for the playoffs. I don't think this would make sense for the regular season. Like, what if you have like 2, 3, 4, 5 overtime games? Like, we know teams do go to overtimes multiple times in the season. I think the Raiders went to overtime 4 times during the regular season. Just imagine if those games just keep getting prolonged and prolonged and prolonged. So I think maybe I could see the playoffs postseason get a little tweaked or something, but I think for regular season it shouldn't get moved. And honestly, if I had a vote, I would just leave it how it is. But overall, Kansas City Chiefs versus Buffalo Bills. Whew, man, just thinking about it is just bringing me excitement again. It was just a roller coaster of emotions. I can't even imagine how the fan bases for these two teams felt during the game, like the highs and the lows. Like I kind of felt it as neutral, as a free agent fan. I felt it like, whoa, the Chiefs are done. Like they turned their season around just for nothing. Oh, the Bills, they got the revenge. Oh my God, the Chiefs came back. You can never cut them out. And then, oh my God, Josh Allen has arrived. He's gonna, slay the dragon. And Mahomes is crazy. It was just pandemonium, insane. I hope you guys watched the game. I hope you guys tuned into it live. I hope you guys were reacting on social media, because that in of itself, it was a beautiful moment. As a football fan, as an NFL fan, to culminate the divisional round with this game, with all the highs and lows, it was just amazing. I completely and thoroughly loved it. And NFL's king, especially in the US. Nothing can touch the NFL. Oh my God. I'm excited for this conference championship weekend. Chiefs versus Bengals and Rams versus 49ers. That's going to be amazing. But Bills and Chiefs, they lived up to it. And we get, 10 plus years of this. Josh Allen is 25. Mahomes is 26. Man. And people were like, everyone kept talking about the AFC. The AFC is so stacked, man. Mahomes, 26. Allen, 25. Herbert, 24, I believe, or 23. Lamar Jackson, around the same age, 24. Joe Burrow, 25 or 26. I think he's 25. Whew, man. Baker Mayfield, 26. I'm just like, Baker Mayfield is bad. But, man, the AFC is stacked. If you don't have a quarterback and you're in the AFC and you watch this game, you must be petrified. You're like, how are we going to get over these teams in any of these next few years? Like, it's a scary sight. It's a scary sight, man, having Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes in the same conference. But, man, overall, I'm going to stop talking about this game. It was amazing. I loved it. I wish I would recorded it. Like, if this was like the early 2000s, I would have wanted to have like a VHS copy of this game. Just, saved over somewhere that I could just pop it into the VHS player and just kick back and watch it sometime. And then in a couple years, I realized that, I taped over something important, but it didn't matter because this game was that good. Rams versus Buccaneers was the game of the year for approximately 3 hours till the Bills and the Chiefs topped it right after the conclusion of the Rams and Buccaneers. But, man, this game was also ridiculous, and it would definitely be in the contender for game of the year if the Bills and Chiefs hadn't just gone berserk and hadn't just, done some historical stuff. But the Rams were in thorough control. It looked like the Rams were going to run away with it. The Buccaneers, it looked like, they took the Rams lightly, or they weren't ready, or I don't know what happened, but the Buccaneers were not ready for this game. The Rams should have blown them out of the field. They should have sent, shockwaves through the NFL. They would have sent a message. The Rams are here. They're probably going to host the Super Bowl. Super Bowl's in SoFi. They're going to run through the NFC. Whoever comes through the AFC is going to have, a big task. It's going to be a tall order to beat the Rams. There's going to be a lot of, hyperbole headlines if the Rams would have just executed how they should. Like, they had chances to really blow the game out of the water. Akers could have punched it in before the half and he fumbled. Cooper Kupp fumbled. Akers fumbled again. Bad snap over at Stafford's head. There were so many mistakes the Rams had. And even then, they still had a comfortable lead. And the Buccaneers made it a game, came back, vintage Tom Brady, just finding a way to bring his team back. And, honestly, I was watching this game, but I was also, it was a beautiful day in San Francisco. I was enjoying the sun. I was out and about with my friends. We were getting food. We were playing a little tennis. I had a game on the side. I was just chilling, relaxing, watching the game. enjoying the sun, having a good Sunday fun day. But I was keeping track of the game as any NFL aficionado would do, and I was keeping track. All right, the Rams take the lead. Buccaneers only have a field goal. Rams score again. Buccaneers can't get anything going. Just keeping it on my phone. I'm like, okay, looks like the Rams are gonna win, but obviously you can never count out Tom Brady. And you start thinking like, okay, you can't count out Tom Brady. And you start getting to the end of the third, beginning of the fourth, and you're like, they gotta make their push. They gotta make their push. If they're gonna have a chance. 27-3. We all know the Super Bowl that Brady came back 28-3. And you're like, people start tweeting about it. People start talking about it. Don't count Tom Brady out. We've seen this movie before. Colin Cowherd, even though we've seen this movie before, Colin Cowherd was like, there's no way there's no way this happens. There's no way Tom Brady could brings them back. This game is done. And then the Rams get a field goal, get a fumble, get a touchdown, and you're like, whoa. All of a sudden, it's like 13-27. You're like, whoa. It was just 27-3. Now it's 13-27. 2-possession game. Still, plenty of time in the fourth quarter. Like, are the Rams... at that point, the Rams definitely must have felt like, like the Giants just wake up. Did we wake up the beast? Is Tom Brady gonna have another episode to his Man in the Arena? Like, are we just gonna be in the Man in the Arena like season 2? Like, that's how it felt. And I know Ram fans were definitely scared. At the end of the game, most of them were like, never in doubt. Like, we knew we were gonna win. But I know they were clenching, man. I know they were clenching, and then the Rams went down, and they missed a field goal short, a 47-yard field goal short, and you're like, what? How do you miss short on a 47-yard field goal? But the Rams didn't take advantage. I mean, the Buccaneers didn't take advantage. They went like 3 and out. They had to kick the ball back, and you're like, okay, that's it, game over. Buccaneers had to, they had to capitalize on it. There's like 6 minutes left. You guys got to score now, and they couldn't. They send it back. They waste all their timeouts. They get the ball back using all their timeouts around 4 minutes. They got to score quick. And Ramsey gets burned. Just gets dusted. And, a lot of people have been talking about Ramsey versus Diggs. And I do think Ramsey's better. Diggs, kind of gives up too many big plays. But damn, Ramsey just got cooked by Mike Evans. Mike Evans scores a 55-yard touchdown, something along those lines. Makes it a 7-point game with like 2 minutes, like 3 minutes and 20 seconds left, something like that. 7-point game. Rams, if they get one first down, it's over. But you're like, wow, Brady again bringing his team back, and you're like, okay, Rams, one first down, you could ice this game. And I remember I was walking back to my car. My roommate Miguel was next to me, and the Rams had just gotten the ball. And I jokingly said, fumble, just to mess with him, just to see his reaction. Because at that point, I had been relaying the information to him. I had been showing him the game on my phone, and, we're keeping up. We're like, no way. The devil's going to do it again. Tom Brady's going to do it again. And as soon as it became a 1-possession game, we're like, dude, he's going to do it, huh? He's going to do it. Like, he can't keep getting away with it. He can't keep getting away with it. So we're all, just reliving all of our past traumas as, Miguel's a Raider fan and I used to be a Charger fan. We're all just having PTSD as we're walking back to the car of Tom Brady coming back on our teams. And then, so I was just joking. I tried to make a joke. Like, I don't think the Rams had even run their first down play once they got the ball back up 27-20. And I was like, oh, fumble. And he's like, no way. And I was like, nah, I'm just kidding. Like, nothing has happened. And then we got to the car and we sat there watching the last few minutes. And Cam Akers fumbles and gives the ball back to the Buccaneers. And you're like, oh my God, it really happened. Like, how does this keep happening? And my friend Arturo, who was on the show last week, he tweeted that it's so obvious the deal that Brady made with the devil. And you're like, Like I'm starting to believe it. Like, how does everything always just happen? How does Brady's defenses always force a turnover, always give him a short field, always like allow him to stay in the game? And then you're thinking like, okay, like now the Buccaneers got to play it smart. They can't score too quickly because then the Rams are going to get the ball back. Like, they're for sure. It wasn't even a question like if they're going to tie it 27-27. You kind of just knew they're going to score 27-27. They just can't leave too much time for the Rams. And, you know, they made their way down to like the 12. They got like a 4th and 1, and they punched it in. Fournette, 4th and 1, made a player miss. Found the seam on the right, wide open, touchdown. Buccaneers tie the game. Pandemonium. Stadium's going crazy. Twitter's blowing up. Tom Brady does it again. The GOAT. Tip your hat to Tom Brady. Man in the Arena season 2. This man's never going to go away. He can't keep getting away with it. Yes, he can. He's the GOAT. Defenses always pull through for Tom Brady. And you're just like, wow. Like, that's insane. The Rams are really pulling an Atlanta Falcons. But Sean McVay trusts Stafford, gets sacked on the first play, takes the timeout, and then busted coverage. Or before that, he found like a first down pass to Cooper Kupp, busted coverage, like 40-yard gain. Matt Gay for the win. Rams win. Crazy, crazy game. Exhilarating, exciting, edge of the seat type of game. Whew, man, that was crazy. That was insane. That was an amazing game. Would have been probably the game of the year if it wasn't for the Bills and Chiefs topping it just a few hours later. But man, Rams versus Buccaneers, that was amazing. That was a great game. If that's Tom Brady's last game, you know, vintage Brady bringing his team back, making it interesting, striking fear in the other team, you know, making them question like what reality even is. Like, we were just up 27-3. How is this man tied the game? They weren't doing anything. Von Miller and Aaron Donald were just eating their line alive, and now they're tied. Like, how does this even happen? But you know, Tom Brady, the wizard, almost did it again. And that segues that was a great game. Congratulations to the Rams. They play the 49ers at home this weekend. I'll touch on that maybe in another episode. But I do want to talk about Tom Brady because, you know, he's been talking about retiring. This is one of the lead-ups to the game. Tom Brady, this might be it. He might call it. And then he went on his podcast and talked about how he wants to spend time with his family, how Giselle doesn't like to see him get hit. And he's old and he has kids now, and they're getting to an age where he wants to spend time with them. And man, everything just seems to point that Tom Brady is going to retire. Tom Brady's going to retire. I feel it, you know, with the documentary coming out. Everyone's like, why is the documentary coming out when he's not even done? Like, he should have waited for his career to be over for him to drop this great documentary. But, you know, he's still writing his book, his chapters of his NFL career. But, you know, what if he knew this was it? What if the reason the documentary came out this year is just, instead of having a farewell season, instead of having a farewell tour, we could just, you know, enjoy his career episode by episode on his last season. And I think he changed the light in a lot of people's mind. I know he changed how I view him, especially with the last 2 years with the Buccaneers. In my opinion, he became more likable. He showed a little bit more of his personality. He wasn't just a robot. He really he looked like a fun guy. And, you know, he made a TikTok. He made a Twitter. He made some funny TikToks. He made some funny tweets. He went on to the Manning cast. He really shined and showed his personality these last few years. And I think separating him from Belichick was good. You know, they will always be tied hand in hand, and they will always be known as the Patriot way. But these last 2 years really helped us see who Tom Brady is. And, you know, he terrorized most of the NFL for years and years and years. And if you're almost any team in the NFL, you kind of probably hate this man just because he's won so much and your team hasn't, especially if you're the AFC, especially if you were one of the good teams. I think I've said this in another podcast explaining why each team would hate Tom Brady. And, you know, if you're in the AFC East, obviously you don't like him. He punished you. He owned you for 20 years. If you're the Colts, you probably don't like him because, he took care of Peyton Manning. He prevented you guys from winning championships. Same thing goes to the Steelers. Same thing goes to the Ravens. You could have had more chips if it wasn't for Brady. The Chargers, same thing. Chiefs, AFC Championship game, same thing. You probably don't like him. And you can just keep going on and on and on and just start thinking about why your team didn't like Tom Brady. But like I said, these last 2 years with the Buccaneers, the documentary, his personality, social media game, it's really helped change the light on Tom Brady. So I, for one, will say that I'm going to be sad. And I don't think I would have said that before. He was just the enemy. He was just, a cheater. He had all these scandals. But I must admit that if Tom Brady retires, it's going to be a sad day. And I've came to appreciate, the career he's had. He's the GOAT. We're happy. I'm happy to have, watched the NFL. Basically his whole career. I've watched him go from a game manager to a prolific passer, to breaking the record with Randy Moss, to, making 2 tight ends popular, cool again, to using running backs, to really pushing the envelope on, passing running backs, and just being a warrior, man, bringing teams back. And of course, still got to throw a little slight, being advantageous, always having a good defense to back him up, and the refs giving him some few, soft calls. But other than that, if this is it for Tom Brady, which I think it is, everything seems to point that he's ready to call it. He's ready to, go be with his beautiful wife, Giselle, enjoy his kids. What a great career. And I respect you, Brady. Great career, man. You honestly, probably for people that talk about this football, who like to go to the barbershop and talk about sports, who like to chop it up with their homies and just talk sports, I think Tom Brady has been part of our lives for the last 20 years, more than any other quarterback. We've probably talked about him more than anybody else, just because he always wins. He always beats our teams. He's always in some controversy. He would always be talked about. So I know Tom Brady has had an impact in my life. You always got to talk about Tom Brady. He's always up in the standings. And that always means he's in big games. He's in the Sunday night football games, Monday night, Thursday night. Anytime your team plays his team, if your team's doing good, Brady's team's doing good, marquee matchup. Whenever a team's doing good, they're playing Brady, marquee matchup. Your quarterback is doing good, he's playing Brady, marquee matchup. So if this is it for Brady, enjoy retirement, do your thing, come back to California, enjoy retirement. But if it's not, it's going to be, we'll welcome you back with open arms, Tom Brady. If Garoppolo still has a job, I'm pretty sure Tom Brady could play till he's 60 and still be better than Garoppolo. And that should segue to my topic, 49ers versus Packers. 49ers beat the Packers 13-10. This is definitely a black mark in Aaron Rodgers' career. The fact that he loses to Jimmy G again. The fact that the Packers only put up 10 points. The fact that they scored their touchdown on their first drive and only put up 3 points the rest of the way is pathetic. It's embarrassing, and I couldn't believe it happened. I'm not like a Green Bay Packer fan per se. I'm not a Niner fan, but I did draw the Packers in a pick'em or in a randomizer for the playoffs. So if the Packers would have won the whole thing, I would have made some money. And I did predict the Packers versus the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So I was like, before the season started, so I was rooting for the Packers to get at least to the Super Bowl and possibly win it, make me some money. But Aaron Rodgers, it just seems like he's a regular season quarterback. He has all the accolades. He's about to win his 4th MVP, back-to-back MVP, 13-4 season with the 13-3 season, 2 13-3 seasons right behind it, 13-3, 13-3, 13-4 since Matt LaFleur came in. But they lose to the 49ers, and they just couldn't get it done, man. They couldn't get the offense going. It looked like Aaron Rodgers had tunnel vision the whole game. He was just looking for Devontae Adams. 49ers did nothing. They had one good drive. They got into the red zone, and Jimmy G threw that interception. Jimmy G was asking to throw the game away. He threw a couple ducks to the flat where the running back was, and he doesn't have a cannon of an arm, so whenever he's trying to check down to a running back, the ball seems to just hang up in the air. And there was a couple of times where it looked like the ball was going in slow-mo and the running back's waiting, and if the cornerback's a little more aggressive, a little bit more assertive, he could intercept the pass and it's a pick six and, game, set, match. And a couple of times the Packers cornerbacks just kind of let up. I think they were scared that they wouldn't get there and they would just leave the running back a big gap. So instead of, being assertive and going for the pick, they kind of just let up and went for the tackle as soon as he caught the ball. But man, Jimmy G, terrible. It was funny. I saw a tweet that said, Jimmy G is the only quarterback in NFL history that's losing money the further he goes into the playoffs. Like, the more footage we see of Jimmy G, the less teams are going to want him. Like, they're just going to look at him and be like, okay, we don't have all the talent that the 49ers have. We don't have Deebo Samuel, doing end rounds, running the ball. We don't have we don't have George Kittle. We don't have all these weapons that the 49ers have. We don't have that defense. We don't have their coach. There's no way we could get Garoppolo and plug it into our system and think he's going to do the same thing. Because, man, Jimmy G's atrocious. He's terrible. It annoys me that he keeps winning and he keeps going on and on and on. And, I live in San Francisco, so I know how much San Francisco 49er fans just despise Jimmy G. And they know that he's going to hold him back, and they know that they're probably not going to win with him. And I think that just makes the loss so much worse for the Packers. The fact that the 49ers looked like they were holding Jimmy back so he wouldn't lose the game for them. They knew that at any point Jimmy G could just throw the game away, so they were just trying to limit him and just stay in the game. Don't let Jimmy G make any mistakes and really put this game out of reach. And the Packers still couldn't win. And Aaron Rodgers, illustrious career. He's only been to one Super Bowl. He did win it. Thankfully for him, he won the one Super Bowl that he went to, because I can't even imagine the pressure he would be in right now. Age 37, age 38, he had 0 rings and he had no Super Bowls. Thankfully for him, he did win that Super Bowl, or else, man, it would be insane if he had none, because the Steelers did have a chance to win that game. It was a good Super Bowl, I remember, but since then, Aaron Rodgers is like 0-3 or 0-4 in NFC championship games, conference championship games. And there's a soundbite of Aaron Rodgers, I believe, losing to the 49ers back in the day, saying, "Oh, if this was in Lambeau, if this was in 20-degree weather, it would be a different story." Well, we got to see it this weekend. I think it was like 3 degrees outside. It was snowing. It was ugly. And the Packers still couldn't get it done. And now there's questions if Aaron Rodgers is going to retire, if he's going to come back with the Packers, if he's going to force a trade. And honestly, I think he's gone. I think the way he's talking, I don't want to be part of a rebuild. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I could see him leaving. I could see him trying to go somewhere else. If he goes to the AFC, I think it would be a mistake. The NFC looks a lot softer, a lot easier to get back to the Super Bowl. The AFC is stacked with good quarterbacks right now. So, I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers couldn't do it, but he hasn't done it in 10 plus years, and he's getting older, and there's these young guns in the AFC. So if I was him, I would either stay with the Packers or go to an NFC team. But it does look like Aaron Rodgers with the Packers, it might be a thing of the past. And if it is a thing of the past, I think he completely underperformed and didn't achieve everything he could have with the Packers. And the Packers, as they're always going to be talked about as a class organization, as one of the best model franchises in the NFL history. Lambeau Field, all the championships that they have, Favre, all the Hall of Fame players that they have, Vince Lombardi, all this great stuff. But for the Packers to only have won 2 Super Bowls with 20 years of Favre and almost 20 years of Aaron Rodgers, 2 Super Bowls in almost 40 years with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, 2 of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. 2 Super Bowls is great. A lot of teams would kill to have that. A lot of teams have none. So 2 Super Bowls is still a good thing, but I think overall it's underwhelming. It should have been more, and hopefully for the Packers, Love turns out to be the real deal because Brady. It looked like Rodgers is gonna leave, and if they couldn't win with Rodgers and Love isn't the real thing, then the Packers might be heading into obscurity. They might not be one of the mainstay teams, franchises in the NFL anymore. But overall, I'm just shocked that the Packers lost to the 49ers, to Jimmy G, the mediocre, middle of the pack, probably in the 23rd, 25th best quarterback in the NFL. I can't believe they lost to that guy. It's embarrassing if you're a Packer fan. Arturo said he was going to delete all his social medias from the last podcast. He's a Packer fan. He's still there. He's still there on Twitter. So if you guys want to tweet at him and, talk some shit for the Packers losing, I'll put his Twitter handle in my description or something. Nah, I'm just playing. Don't harass him, man. But it is embarrassing. It is embarrassing for the Packers to lose that way at home, letting a California team go to Wisconsin in the snow in almost 0-degree weather and bully them and just eliminate them when they had the first round bye. Sad day if you're a Packer fan. I think they showed a statistic too of the California teams traveling to like 20 or lower degree weather. They were like 2-12 or something like that. So it's just bad all around. Just bad look. And I think it's a black mark on Aaron Rodgers' career. And the least entertaining game of the week, it's still good, but Bengals versus Titans, 19-16. Bengals move on to the AFC Championship game. Congrats to the Bengals. Congrats to Joe Burrow. They get it done. They upset the Titans at home. Titans who had a first-round bye. Titans who had Derrick Henry coming back. There was a lot of hype. Derrick Henry, the king, coming back. Best running back in the NFL. How are the Bengals going to stop him? Well, to be fair, Derrick Henry did not look 100%. It did look like he got rushed back. Like, obviously, you can't blame the guy. You can't blame the Titans. It's the playoffs. He wanted to come back. They put like metal on his foot to help it heal. They did a lot of stuff. We'll see how he comes back next year. He definitely didn't have the same burst or pop or strength even when he was running. He didn't strike fear in the Bengals like he would have if he was 100%. Hopefully, King Henry is back next season and better than ever. Hopefully, he another 2,000-yard season. Fuck it. But we could obviously tell that he was not 100% and he was toughing it out for the team. So respect to Derrick Henry for even trying to go at it, even, being out there on the field. It shows a lot of good. It shows the type of player that he is. So shout out to him. But it's going to be hard for the Titans to win anything, to do anything, to get to a Super Bowl, to win the AFC when Ryan Tannehill is their quarterback, man. He fooled everyone. He had a few good games. He was a quality game manager, but there's a reason he didn't work out with the Dolphins. There's a reason he's not one of the top quarterbacks. He turns the ball over too much, man. And if you're at that level where you're not a game changer per se, where you're not one of the elite quarterbacks, where you're not a top elite franchise quarterback, you can't be turning the ball over, man. You got to keep a clean game. You got to not force the issue. You got to give your team a chance because you're not the star. You kind of just got to steer the ship. Let your running backs, set the pace. Let your running backs win you the game. Let your wide receivers get some yak. And Ryan Tannehill, honestly, he cost the Titans the game. He had three interceptions, only 220 yards passing, one touchdown. The touchdown, I do got to give him credit. It was a beautiful throw to A.J. Brown. So gotta give him credit there. I believe it was to tie the game. So gotta give him credit there. AJ Brown balled out, 5 receptions, 142 yards, 1 touchdown. He's a star. Julio Jones. We never got the big game from Julio Jones. 6 receptions, 62 yards. I don't know if that's on him. If it's on Ryan Tannehill, I would lean Julio Jones because he's been hurt so much these last few years. But overall, the Tennessee Titans disappointed this season. Yeah, they were the number 1 seed. But, they never really got going on offense. AJ Brown and Julio Jones never had a big game together. They were never like the force that I thought they were going to be. Ryan Tannehill definitely had a down year. And that contract is not looking that good. And it's starting to look the more we go into the contract, the more years we get of Ryan Tannehill as a starter with the Titans. That lust, that initial, gratitude of Ryan Tannehill turning his career around, revitalizing his career with the Tennessee Titans, that rosy glasses that we look at Ryan Tannehill, we're like, oh my God, it's so good for him, good for the Titans to give him a chance and turn his career around. Look at him, look how many touchdowns he has to interceptions. Look how many wins he has since he became the starter for the Titans. Like all, everything that people have given Ryan Tannehill credit for and given him, his flowers for. The more we get into his career, it gets to the point where, like, okay, it's all good. It's all great. Good for the Titans. They're a relevant team again. They're going to consistently make the playoffs. They have a nice roster. They have the best running back in the league when healthy. They have an elite number one wide receiver with A.J. Brown when he's healthy. But you started thinking, like, okay, Ryan Tannehill, good for him. He stepped it up. He definitely is playing better in this part of his career than at the beginning. But he can't really win you games. And if you look around in the NFL, even just the AFC, you're like, okay, can we win with Ryan Tannehill? Like, can we do it? And the more I look at Ryan Tannehill with the Titans, the more it reminds me of Alex Smith with the Chiefs. Alex Smith had Tyreek Hill. Alex Smith had Travis Kelce. He had a good coach. He had Andy Reid, and he made the playoffs. The Chiefs had good records. They would win the division. They would even have big leads in the playoffs. But you never really thought that they could win it. You never really thought that they could stack 3-4 wins together and win the Super Bowl. They met up against the Patriots. You never thought they really had a chance. Even when they had the big lead against the Colts, you were like, okay, like the Colts could come back on them, and they did. They even lost to the Tennessee Titans and Mariota. And the more I see the Titans, the more I'm seeing the Alex Smith Chiefs. And then don't get me wrong, I love Alex Smith. I think he's a good quarterback. I like how he turned his career around. And similar to how Ryan Tannehill turned his career around, Ryan Tannehill had to leave and go to the Titans. Alex Smith had to wait for a coach to give him a chance in Harbaugh and really, bring stability to his career. But the more I see Ryan Tannehill with the Tennessee Titans, the more I see Alex Smith with the Chiefs. Just a good game manager, gonna have decent stats during the regular season, gonna have a pretty decent touchdown to interception ratio. He's not gonna be one of those terrible quarterbacks like Jimmy G or Baker Mayfield. He's gonna be steady. He's gonna be all right. The moment that you need him to do a little bit more, that's when it's gonna get ugly. That's when it's like, okay, we need you to go 4 wideouts and drive us down the field. Running game's not working. Your star running back's hurt. We need you to put the load on your shoulders and take us home. That's when it gets ugly. That's when they show their true colors. That's when you're reminded, okay, I don't have the guy. I don't have the franchise quarterback. I don't got the head honcho. Then it sucks. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I do think making playoffs is better than not making playoffs, but at some point, it gets tiring just losing in the first round or making the playoffs and knowing you can't win. So at some point, I think the Tennessee Titans are going to have to draft the quarterback of the future and move on, especially if you see across the field, you see Joe Burrow and what he has done to the Bengals. The Bengals who were like the laughing stock of the NFL just a couple years ago, and now they're in the AFC conference game. So I think what I learned from this game is that Ryan Tannehill is just officially not the guy. I already had my ideas about him, but this game just seals it. Ryan Tannehill is not going to take the Tennessee Titans to a Super Bowl. It's not going to win a Super Bowl with them. It's probably not even going to make a Super Bowl with them. And if the Titans want to really be a contender, really take advantage of Derrick Henry's last few years as an elite running back, because running backs, they fall off a cliff pretty quickly, and really take advantage of A.J. Brown and get any juice out of maybe the last 2-3 years of Julio Jones. We'll see how much he has left. They got to get a real quarterback. And there's going to be some available in the market. Ryan Tannehill is not a bad piece to throw in the trade. So they might want to look into that. I don't think they will. I don't think they'll attract a quarterback like that, but they definitely got to consider that. And for the Bengals, just, not the prettiest game. Burrow had some interceptions too. The difference between Burrow throwing an interception and like Tannehill throwing an interception is like Joe Burrow, he'll win your game. His arm talent's there, and you'll win because of him. And if he makes a mistake, you're like, okay, like we still kind of winning because of you, and you're just being aggressive. When Ryan Tannehill throws a pick, it's like, okay, bro, just don't mess it up, bro. Don't mess it up. Like, you just can't mess it up. You can't mess it up because you can't bring us back. So there's a difference. So Bengals showed some resiliency. They did beat the Chiefs in the regular season. It's going to be a great matchup. But what I learned from this game is just Ryan Tannehill is not the guy. Sean Payton is stepping away after 16 years with the New Orleans Saints. He will no longer be the coach for the Saints. This is breaking crazy news. Sean Payton just completely turned around, not just only that team, but that city after Katrina. They really just, him and Drew Brees really just revitalized New Orleans, the city, helped them get over a tragic event, and brought stability to that franchise, made the Saints a mainstay, made the Saints one of the important teams in the NFL. So shout out to Sean Payton for that. Shout out to Drew Brees. But for the Saints to lose Drew Brees and Sean Payton back-to-back years, man, I don't want to say that they're going to go back into their, putting bags over their heads days. But it looks ugly, man. It looks ugly. If I'm a Saints fan, I'm definitely not just a little bit worried. I'm big worried, man. I am big worried. $71 million over the cap. You have no quarterback. The quarterback that you kind of wanted to put your future on got hurt, tore his ACL. He was already, above average to a little bit more than above average when he was playing. And that was with Sean Payton being the offensive coordinator or being the play caller. That was Sean Payton being there, being one of the greatest offensive minds in the NFL right now and in the NFL history. So that's what you guys had going with Sean Payton. But now Sean Payton's gone. How is Winston going to come back from his ACL injury? Is he even going to resign with the Saints? You got Taysom Smith, who we know is not an NFL quality quarterback. You got a lot of people with big contracts. You're over the cap. You got to cut players. You got to work the books. The only solace that you got is that hopefully Brady retires. If you're the Saints, you're hoping Brady retires. You're hoping none of the quarterbacks that are linked with Carolina get there. You're hoping Deshaun Watson doesn't go to Carolina. You're hoping Russell Wilson doesn't go to Carolina. And the Falcons, they haven't been that good these last few years with Matt Ryan. So you're hoping that, Matt Ryan doesn't get like a second win, a third win in his career, and, just go crazy in his last few years. That's what you're hoping for if you're the Saints. And maybe you hire one of your in-house coaches and they're able to carry that magic that Sean Payton had. But it's going to be tough shoes to fill, man, because Sean Payton, he's one of the best coaches in the NFL. He's a savant on the offensive side. And he seems like he's a good people person. He looks like he's just a good head coach. And the impact that he had with New Orleans will never be matched. So that's crazy. You still got Kamara. You still got Michael Thomas. We'll see how he comes back from his ankle, from all the injuries he's had these last few years. And you still got, playmakers on the defense. So it's not all gloom. There must be a way for you guys to work the books to get back under the cap. Even though you're 71 over, that's insane. I don't know how that happened. I know how it happened. They pushed contracts back and now it comes back to bite them. But, round of applause for Sean Payton for turning that franchise around. Drew Brees. But like I said, if I'm a Saints fan, I'm kind of really worried that the Saints just become the laughing stock of the NFL again. Hopefully it doesn't happen because the Saints have dope-ass uniforms. So whenever they're in primetime, whenever they're in a marquee matchup, it's always nice to see those unis. But man, it could be bleak. It could be bleak for the Saints. Russell Wilson had put the Saints as one of the teams he would get traded to. But without Sean Payton, I think that becomes a non-starter right away. And there's rumors that Sean Payton might be going to to the Cowboys. If I'm the Cowboys, dude, I'm hitting up Sean Payton and I'm calling him and I'm like, dude, like just think what you could do with Dak Prescott and Zeke. You could probably revitalize Zeke. You use him in an Ingram role, in a Mark Ingram role, and use your other running back as the Kamara role. And now you got CD, you got Amari Cooper. We'll get Gallup back up and healthy. We got these other wide receivers. We got Wilson. You could do this, man. We could run it back. You could run it back with the Cowboys. You've been in these offices. You've been in this franchise before. Let's get it done. I think that's what I would do if I'm Jerry Jones. And I know he's under contract with the Saints, so you might have to throw some picks. I don't know if the Saints want players for Sean Payton because they are already so above the cap that I don't even know how that would even be possible to get players in return for Sean Payton when Sean Payton doesn't count for the cap, but the players do. So it'll be a mess to try to trade him for players. But if you get a few, first round picks or something like that, get some cheap players on rookie contracts to fill out your roster, I think then maybe you could start really turning the page. Sean Payton for some young players, some players still on their rookie contracts, and some picks so that when they come in, they're on cheap deals. I think that's what has to happen. But if I'm the Cowboys, man, I'm getting rid of Mike McCarthy with the quickness, man. Even if I don't get Sean Payton, I will use the Sean Payton walking away from the Saints, parting ways with the Saints as an excuse to fire Mike McCarthy. Because, yeah, it's kind of hard to fire Mike McCarthy because he is a Super Bowl winning head coach. And they did just win their division. They did just make the playoffs. And they had some quality moments in their season. But he's terrible with clock management. He just seems like he's a little outdated for today's NFL. So if I'm the Cowboys, I kind of use this as a pivot to get away from Mike McCarthy. And even if you don't sign Sean Payton, you're like, we did this because we thought we were going to get Sean Payton. Unfortunately, we didn't get him. I guess no more Mike McCarthy. We'll just promote our offensive coordinator to head coach, or we'll sign somebody else. But I think if you're the Cowboys, you have to make a push for Sean Payton. You got to really talk to him, get in his corner, and pitch him a sell for being the head coach of the Saints. That would be insane. That would be crazy. I think Sean Payton goes to the Cowboys would make the Cowboys one of the better teams, or maybe the perennial favorites to make it out of the NFC, especially if Tom Brady retires, especially if Aaron Rodgers moves teams. If I'm the Cowboys, all in on Sean Payton. And if I'm the Saints fan, I am completely worried about the next 5 to 10 years for the Saints without Sean Payton's leadership. And we're winding down in the Australian Open. We're finishing up the quarterfinals today in the men's singles. We got Felix FAA against Medvedev. And we have, who's the other one? Sinner versus Tsitsipas starting in a little bit. They will probably have concluded by the time this video is up. So just, follow, keep up with the scores. But I want to talk about Shapovalov versus Nadal. I was very pumped up for this game. I was super excited. Nadal, who's going for 21 without Djokovic, without Federer in the Australian Open, he has a chance to get to 21. Shapovalov, who had a shaky end to 2021, is trying to start 2022 on a high note. First time he's made it to the quarterfinals in the Australian Open. First time a Canadian has made it there too. Two of them actually made it with FFA also making it. So I was super pumped up. Shapovalov, who has beaten Nadal before, I think at the age of 17 or 18. And Nadal, I think he's won the last 3 after that. So 3-1 record, Nadal heading into this game. I was pumped, man. Shapovalov's playing some of his best tennis. Took out Zverev, one of the favorites for the Australian Open, especially when he won the ATP finals last year. In a hard court, you'd think Zverev, this is the type of tournament, this is where he could possibly break through and finally win a major, and Shapovalov takes him out. So he came in hot, he came in ready. Nadal came in ready too. He took the first 2 sets, looked very comfortable, broke Shapovalov once each in those sets, and really imposed his will. He looked strong. He looked very concentrated. Typical Nadal, fiery, like no extra, emotions, just straight to the point. It's kind of sad, or it really gives you a perspective on how old Nadal is, or how much his foot has been bothering him the last few years. When he doesn't slide anymore or on hard courts, he kind of just stops. The commentators kept talking about it, how he doesn't slide for when he approaches the net and stuff like that, or when he gets close to a volley, he doesn't slide anymore. So I hope Nadal, I wish we get more years of Nadal, but it is eye opening to see, like, man, this dude is 35. He's old, man. He's old. Nadal is old. He's playing against a 22-year-old, and he's keeping up with him. He's imposing his will, and that's what I thought the first two rounds. I'm like, damn, Nadal still got it. He's still a warrior. He's still running around. He still looks good. His forehand looks good. He has a lot of bounce on his forehand. His serving big out of nowhere. Even his second serve is big. Commentators kept talking about that too, and I was pumped. I was like, dude, is Nadal gonna win in straight sets? And he had a chance in the third set too. I think there was a volley that he missed where I think he was 15-40. He was about to break Shapovalov, and he missed the volley, and Shapovalov ended up holding. And then Shapovalov breaks Nadal to take the third set. And in the fourth set, Nadal started really, like, his body started really hurting and kind of letting him down. And as a Nadal fan, I'm like, oh my God, this is it. This is it, man. Nadal, his body, his age is catching up to him. Shapovalov, the younger of the two, obviously 22 years old. Like, I was stressing, man. I was watching that game like, dude, he's going to lose, being 2 sets up, and he's going to lose. Especially with the commentators kept bringing up how in the same round, the quarterfinals of last year's Australian Open, Nadal was up 2 sets 2-0, 2 sets to love on Tsitsipas, and he blew it. And Tsitsipas came back and beat him, won the last 3 sets, and eliminated Nadal in quarterfinals. And they kept panning the camera to Nadal's cap, Nadal's player box, and everyone on that player box just looked like they had seen a ghost. They were just there, like, shaking their head, running their hands through their head, like, oh man, this is not good. Nadal wasn't even moving. He was giving up on points. He wasn't chasing points. And you're like, bro, this is so bad. Nadal asked for a medical timeout. It turned out that he had some problem in his stomach. They gave him a tablet. The commentator kept saying, oh, once that tablet kicks in. And the other commentator was like, nah, hey, that tablet ain't going to do shit, man. This was done. Like, that's wishful thinking to think that tablet is just going to turn the tide for Nadal. So Nadal loses the 4th set, and as a Nadal fan, we're reeling. I'm hitting up the group chat. It just looks like, damn, Shapo's going to take this. Everyone's like, damn, Shapo's going to take this. And Nadal, being wise, being a little smart, he uses the medical timeout or the medical, gap in between sets to get checked out. And then he goes to the restroom after that too. Buy him a little bit more time. Let the sun set a little bit. Let that pill kick in a little bit. And Nadal serves first in the 5th set, holds, and breaks Shapovalov on his first service game in the 5th set, goes up 2-0. And after that, Nadal just basically saved his energy for his own serves. Kind of, I wouldn't say give up, but he did try to end the rallies quickly when Shapo was serving. Like, if he would hit a winner or like return a winner, like, it was all good. He'll take the points, but he was not going to waste his energy on Shapo's serve. He was content to let Shapo, win his serves, and Nadal was just going to hold for the victory. I think the closest Shapo came to breaking him back was in Nadal's second service game in that 5th set when it was 2-0 and Nadal was trying to solidify his break and make it 3-0. Shapovalov had a chance to break him or to make it interesting, and he couldn't break Nadal back. Nadal took the 3-0, and then after that it was just, Nadal kind of not really expending too much energy in the Shapo serve and holding, and he held. Shapo kind of lost his composure too. Credit to Shapo for having a great tournament. I saw him live at the San Diego Open, and he is known, and I've seen him in his career, and he is known for losing his composure sometimes. Like he's one of the most dangerous players when he's concentrated, when he's on his game. That backhand, one-handed backhand, is as sweet as anything, and his forehand, when his forehand is hot, he can serve big. He's very complete, but he's very erratic, and he could definitely like shank balls into the stands. And he kind of lost his composure at the end. He got a lot of unforced errors at the end. Was hitting the net a lot. Was shanking some balls into the stands. And in the end, Nadal is just, veteran. Got through the fifth set. And now he's in the semifinals. 2 wins away from his 21st Grand Slam. Shout out to Nadal. Congratulations for Shapo for making a deep run into the Australian Open, defeating the number 3 player, Zverev. He almost pulled off the comeback against Nadal. He just couldn't close it out. Nadal found a wind in the 5th set. The court was filled up with shade. The sun got a little bit lighter. And Nadal dug deep and just won it, man. And shout out to Nadal. In my opinion, my GOAT. Y'all might have your own GOAT. That's fair. I know most people are going to go with Djokovic. But Nadal is the one I've enjoyed the most throughout their careers. So I'm happy for Nadal. And I hope he gets his 21st. And like I said, Shapo is an exciting young player. But continue to watch him. Continue to root for him. He was just going up against Nadal, one of the GOATs. And he just couldn't pull off the comeback. But the most entertaining part of the Australian Open 2022 has definitely been Nick Kyrgios, who's making his comeback, who's always known to be a spectacle, who's always known to be box office. Love him or hate him, he is pure entertainment. Just the tennis purists hate him. I think younger crowds, the younger generation loves him, loves the excitement and entertainment that he brings to the court, loves the energy he brings to the court. I'm on the side that really enjoys his tennis, that watches his highlights religiously on YouTube, that tunes into his matches just because he's fun, he's entertaining, he's different. He's just cool. I know there's people that are like, oh my God, man, he's disrespecting the opponent. He's doing all this. Man, he's having fun, bro. It's a sport. You're supposed to play to win, but you're also supposed to have fun. So I'm a Nick Kyrgios fan. If you get disappointed by that, or if you want to hate on me for that, that's cool, man. I like Nick Kyrgios. I was a Cuauhtemoc Blanco fan when I was little. That should say something. Ódiame más. I'm an America fan. Hate me more. That's the slogan for America. Ódiame más. Cuauhtemoc Blanco. Cuauhtemoc Blanco, if you don't know who that is, Mexican player, number 10, one of the most skilled players in Mexican history. He was known for being a hothead. He was known for, stopping the ball with his butt. Like, instead of just controlling it with his foot, he would turn around, let the ball bounce, and then it would bounce into his butt, and he would control it that way. He had a slouch on his back. In Spanish, they call it jorobada. And sometimes they would send it past to him, and everyone knows that you could stop the ball with your chest. Just chest it down, bring it down. This man was funny. He would use his jorobada. He would use his slouch on his back. And the ball's coming in the air. Instead of chesting it down, he would turn around, use his slouch to bring it down. He would even give passes with his back slouch. He would just let the ball come, and when it got close, he would just arch his back. It'll bounce out. He was known for doing no look passes. He was known for whenever he got a foul, he would pretend to take the foul quickly. So he would stop the ball, and then if you guys don't know soccer, I know I'm segueing, but if you guys don't know soccer, when you get fouled, you have to stop the ball from rolling, because if the ball's moving, then they call the play back. So you gotta let's say I was running with the ball and I get fouled, then they mark the foul, so then you get the foul from the spot. You get to start the play from the spot of the foul. And sometimes, teams like to hurry up, keep the play going. So they just, put the ball down and kick it to resume play. But if the ball is moving, then the ref will blow the whistle and be like, hey, ball was moving, bring it back. And then you just missed the opportunity to, keep the play going quickly and catch the defense off guard. So it is known, it is a common thing where players, get fouled, they get up, they put the ball down, and they start play. So Cuauhtemoc Blanco, he would do the fake where he would get fouled and he would get up and put the ball down and pretend that he was gonna restart play real quick. And then instead of kicking the ball, he would just do like this feint and he would just like kind of like lift his nuts towards you and like pretend like he's just a funny guy. He's very charismatic. He would rub the people the wrong way. And like I said, he had all these things that made him extra. So like if you were an America fan, if you rooted for him, you would love the guy with all the theatrics that he had. But if you were another team, and he played for America, the most hated team in Mexico, so like he was that type of player in the most hated team in Mexico. So if you were an America fan, you loved the man. He kind of exemplified everything the team represented. And if you were one of the other 19 teams, 17 teams in the Mexican League, you already hate America, the team, but then this guy that's showboating and he's doing like passes with his slouch on his back and he's stopping the ball with his butt and he's doing like back heel passes and he's doing like body feints where he's kind of throwing his nuts at you. You definitely hated that man. Without a doubt, you hated that man, like with the bottom of your heart, a fiery hate. But I love that man. I was an America fan, and I loved all those theatrics. So Nick Kyrgios, for me, that's the type of player he is for tennis. He showboats. He does all these funny things, tweeners between the legs, no look passes, no look hits, these volleys, he spins. He gets the crowd pumped. He reminds me of Cuauhtemoc Blanco. I'm not gonna lie. He's a showman. He's very skilled. We all know Kyrgios is one of the most talented players on tour. I apologize for the long segue, but I just had to get my point across as to why I appreciate Nick Kyrgios. And he has been saying that tennis is going to die. They need to embrace more personalities. They need to embrace, it can't just be like a white collar, like we're all just going to be robots and we're all just going to want to win. We're not going to have fun. We're all going to say the right thing. We're all going to be buddy. And, tennis, I love tennis and I've gotten into tennis more in the past few years. But I think it is too buddy sometimes. Like you warm up with your opponent. You share the same locker room. You practice with each other in the off season. I've seen like little vlogs online where players share a house with like 6 other players and they all practice together and they all kind of live together. I think Berrettini and FFA. I've seen and some other girls on the WTA tour. They've all shared houses and I've seen some videos about that. And it's all cool. It's all fun. But I think it's also fun for, to have a common enemy, for someone to be the disruptor, for people not to like some of their opponents, to not just be friends with everyone. I think it's good for the sport. It's good to create, like a common enemy, someone to root against, or if you like that type of player, someone to root for. I think that's what Nick Kyrgios has become. But nevertheless, we've been knowing this about him before this Australian Open, but this Australian Open, he's just taking it to the next level. That match against Brady in the first round was just amazing. He showed everyone the type of level that he could play out and how entertaining he could be while still being a high quality singles player. And then the singles match, the second round match against Medvedev, that was just thrilling. Like I've seen countless highlights of that match on Twitter, on Instagram. That was so much fun. And for Kyrgios to play at that level, to compete against number 2 in the world, Medvedev, to really, push him. It was only a 4-set match, but if Kyrgios would have won that first set tiebreak in the first set, he could have definitely really like scared Medvedev in that second round. I'm pretty sure Medvedev did try a lot and it was a tough match for Medvedev, but if Nick Kyrgios would have found a way to win that tiebreak in the first set, dude, honestly, he could have probably upset him. And for Nick Kyrgios to be gone from tennis, second half of tennis last year and be hurt and coming back from COVID, it just goes to show the type of player Kyrgios is. And it was a short-lived singles run, but it was very fun against Brody, against Medvedev. It was entertaining tennis. But what their doubles run has been so far has been so unprecedented. Teaming up with fellow Australian Kokinakis, They're into the semifinal. They play tomorrow at Rod Laver Arena. And if you guys have been keeping up with them, man, they've played in the Show Court Arena the last 3 times, and it's been packed, man. And if you guys don't keep up with tennis, or if you guys don't keep up with doubles tennis, it is not the same as singles, man. Singles, they get packed, stadiums get packed. Everyone knows the singles players. Doubles, different story. Still entertaining, still fun. I got to see some doubles action at the San Diego Open. Taylor Fritz was teaming up. I forgot who he was teaming up with, but I got to see some doubles action of Taylor Fritz. I think they ended up playing against the number 1 seed in this tournament. I forgot their names, but anyways, not a lot of people play or pay attention in the doubles. And for Nick Kyrgios and Kokinakis to be packing stadiums, bringing that energy has just been very, very fun. In Australia, they had to put the quarterfinal match of Kyrgios and Kokinakis against Putz and Venus. They put them on the main channel. They started with Nadal, but Kyrgios and Kokinakis were making so much noise in the quarterfinals doubles that they pushed them to the main channel and moved Nadal against Shapo to one of the secondary channels. And it just goes to show you like the wave, the momentum that Nick Kyrgios has right now with Kokinakis. And I really hope that they win the whole thing. I know there's going to be a lot of haters, a lot of people that hate Kyrgios, that think, he stands for everything that's wrong with tennis. I disagree. I think he's exciting. I think he's fun. I think he's great for the sport. And I think it's, if you love your heroes, if you love that, white collar, always saying the right thing, always keeping your composure, respecting the sport, I think Nick Kyrgios, if you hate Nick Kyrgios, he's going to make you love your player even more. So it's good for you too. Like, how do I put it this way? Like, if you already like the complete opposite of Nick Kyrgios being there is just going to make you love your type of player even more. Because if everyone was just like your players, like, okay, everyone's this way, like whatever. I think being a contrarian sometimes is good. Not just if you appreciate being a contrarian or going against the grain, but it also makes you appreciate the people that stay true to what you think is the correct way of playing tennis or, respecting the sport. Like, you could just hate on Nick Kyrgios and just be like, damn, thank God that's not my favorite player. Thank God I like this player. And he's, look at him. He's the perfect role model. Look at him. Just always playing correctly. Just always going back to his line. Always, beating the time clock. Never getting a time violation. Always, talking respectfully to the line judge. Always, just going back to his, if you like those type of players, I think Nick Kyrgios being such a different player is going to appreciate your favorite player. Is going to make you appreciate your favorite player more. So it's still good for you. That's what I'm trying to say. But regardless, Nick Kyrgios, Kokinakis, incredible run in the Australian Open. They bring the energy, and it's been fun, man. And I know Nick Kyrgios, I know he knows what he's doing, man, because I don't know how many other tennis players follow other sports, but I know Nick Kyrgios watches the NFL, he watches the NBA. He's always seen rocking like NBA jerseys. Kobe, Jason Tatum is one of his favorite players because he loves the Celtics. So I know he's looking around. He probably goes to NBA games, goes to football games, and damn, these crowds are electric, man. Look at the energy in this arena. Look at the energy at this NFL game. Look at the energy in this soccer game. Like, why is that not the energy at these tennis games? Like, he probably thinks like, how cool would it be to be playing in a similar scenario, like in a similar like atmosphere? Why can't we have those crowds in tennis where like you just have the whole stadium rocking, chanting, having fun, not just being quiet, not just being told to shut up, not just being told to quiet please. Like, why can't we have real crowds having real fun and just making the whole stadium, the whole atmosphere real fun? And I think Nick Kyrgios is doing that, and I appreciate that. And I mean, I get it. If you like old school tennis, that's great. But I think this is also fun. This is also great. And I will leave it at that, man. The Australian Open has been fun. I'm gonna tune in to the who's playing right now. You guys don't care because that game's gonna be done by the time you see this or listen to this. But I think it's gonna be Who is it today? Sinner versus TC Pass. TC Pass is leading 2-0 right now. I'm gonna make sure to watch that right now. By the time you guys hear this, it's gonna be over, so you guys will know the score. But thank you so much for listening. If you made it this far, the divisional round of the NFL was just ridiculous. One I will never forget. The Australian Open has been fun. Shout out to Nadal for making it to the semifinals, making it to the Final Four, 2 wins away from the historic 21 Grand Slam. And Kyrgios and Kokonakis have just electrified the Aussies. Aussie. Oi. It's been great. Hope you guys tune into Australian Open. Make sure to tune in to the NFL Conference Championship games. This has been episode 83 of the Hard to Handle Sports Podcast. Hope you have a great rest of your night. Have a good one.